Welcome back to the 17 News at Sunrise podcast, where we share your news on your schedule.
In the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
Good morning. Right now at 5, the delayed first round of vaccine shipments could come today to Kern County, the latest as an FDA panel meets to consider a second vaccination.
In Congress, inching closer to compromise on a COVID-19 relief bill. How big it could be and what it includes. Coming up.
It's a favorite family tradition for many in Kern County, but this year Dustin's Diner won't be serving up hot cocoa and cookies. They want to keep the spirit behind it alive, though, with the community's help. We'll explain how. This is Thursday, December 17th, 2020. Good morning. It's 5 a.m. Good to have you with us. I'm Maddie Jansen here in studio with Taylor Schaub, who is in for Alex and hoping for a little shot of rain this morning.
Absolutely. And speaking of hot cocoa and cookies, it was cold this morning. I could have used that.
For sure.
But Alyssa is joining us this morning. Alyssa, are we going to get a little drizzle today?
Good morning, Taylor and Maddie. We have a slight chance of showers in the forecast. It's looking very light, though, so we'll have to keep our fingers crossed on that. I don't think we're going to see much, maybe enough to wet the pavement. So as we look outside right now, we're noticing as there is a front that is sweeping through California, and it is into central California right now to move through the Central Valley and down into Kern County later this morning. Meanwhile, it has dumped about actually a little bit about a tenth of an inch of rain into some of those areas that you see there on the map. So looking for a little bit of light rain there. Otherwise, here at home, we are continuing to be pretty much dry, even though our models show that there is a little bit of light rain on the ground. It's just really having a tough time making it to the ground. So just a slight chance. Wind advisory this afternoon into tonight, and our wind forecast still looking windy out into the desert locations. Here's the forecast as we take you into today. Temperatures will be into the lower 40s and 50s, mid 50s this afternoon. Best chance of rain is really going to be this morning, and in the mountains looking still for that chance of rain into this afternoon. And much more on that in your complete pinpoint forecast still ahead.
All right, thanks, Alyssa. By now, you've probably seen the pictures of frontline workers across the country getting those COVID-19 vaccines. But it's not happening in Kern County yet. Local medical leaders are expecting the first shipment of roughly 5,800 Pfizer vaccines to arrive today, if not tomorrow. For the second straight day, TV17 reached out to the California Department of Public Health to ask why the vaccines have not arrived. As of yesterday, the department was working to provide a statement. This comes as Kern hospitals are filling up.
As far as the ICUs are concerned, we all, in case is for all hospitals in Kern County, continue to see an increase in patients over the last week or so.
Last week, Memorial averaged roughly 48 patients a day. This week, that figure's closer to 70. At Mercy, the hospital's treating 72 positive patients and another 200 believed to have the virus. The hospital's now out of ICU beds. Meantime, Dignity Health says they're enacting a plan to voluntarily test employees on a weekly basis. And as for the vaccine, we'll continue to bring you the latest as soon as it arrives. And now to the latest numbers on the pandemic here in Kern County, with Kern Public Health reporting 987 new cases yesterday. More than 21,000 people are isolating at home with the virus, while 299 are being treated in local hospitals with more severe symptoms. 64 of those people are in the ICU. 470 have lost their lives to COVID-19 since March. More than 54,000 people have been infected since the pandemic started. More than 11,000 of those have been since Thanksgiving alone. State data shows, on average, 868 people are testing positive every day. Our single-day peak was December 9th with more than 1,200 cases. And according to the state, Kern's testing positivity rate is nearly 20%. That's a more than 5% increase from 2 weeks ago. We learned this morning the United States has surpassed 17 million coronavirus cases, according to data from NBC News. So far, the country's seen more than 17 million positive COVID cases and more than 308,000 COVID-related deaths since tracking began earlier this year. Yesterday, the U.S. saw its highest numbers of the pandemic yet. NBC News data totaled more than 232,000 COVID-19 cases and more than 3,200 deaths for the day. Those numbers top the last single-day record for both reported cases and reported deaths set back on December 10th.
And just a reminder that the Latino COVID-19 Task Force launched a new mental health hotline this week to help those struggling during the pandemic. The hotline connects those with COVID-19 concerns with mental health experts, health counselors, and other resources. The hotline is available Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Conversations are confidential and anonymous. That number is 525-5900. And remember, testing remains an important part of keeping tabs on the severity of the outbreak and slowing down the spread. The Latino COVID-19 Task Force continues to host testing sites this week. Today, you can head to Rexland Acres Park between 9 a.m. and 2 p.m. for a free test. There's a free testing site every day through Saturday. And for all local testing sites, head to kernpublichealth.com. This interactive map shows you where you can find a test near you. You can also click on each testing location to find out more information.
We told you last week how local restaurants are taking a stand against the governor's stay-at-home order requiring restaurants to shut down indoor and outdoor operation and do delivery and takeout only. Yesterday, those restaurants followed through on their lawsuit. 35 local restaurants, including Hodels and La Mina Cantina, filed their suit yesterday against Governor Gavin Newsom and the administration. The suit claims the governor acted independently without consulting the legislature and did not properly consider alternative solutions. This comes as Senate Republican leader Shannon Grove, along with bipartisan lawmakers, sent a letter to Governor Newsom urging him to reclassify the food service industry as critical infrastructure.
And on a lighter note, this year T-Mobile wanted to spread some holiday cheer by giving 3 lucky winners the chance to win a $500 gift card. Today's chosen winner is Olivia, and here's her letter. It says, "Dear Santa, I would love to win this gift card because I need a new phone badly, but some things always come up when I've tried to get one. I've always been unable to get one, and I would feel truly blessed if I was able to get a new phone this year. Thank you so much." Many holiday traditions will go by the wayside this year because of the COVID-19 pandemic, but one thing appears to be holding strong, and that's Americans' love for indulging in sweet treats during the holidays. And just because we can't gather together doesn't mean we can't share. NBC's Chris Pallone explains.
During the pandemic, there's been a well-documented baking boom as Americans turn to food for comfort during a most difficult year, which means one tradition that probably won't wait until next year is indulging in decadent sweets during the holidays.
There's a connection for people to chocolate and candy. It brings them joy and happiness in an unusual time.
In fact, a National Confectioners Association survey says 80% of Americans will buy as much or more chocolate and candy than they usually do this winter, even if they don't agree on the right way to eat a candy cane. Wait, what?
58% of Americans like to start with the straight end. 30% of Americans say they start with the curved end, and just 12% of Americans say that they break their candy canes into pieces before they enjoy them.
Okay, well, Caitlin Foster, a baker in North Carolina, says food can still bring us together even if we can't be together, from hot cocoa bombs to cake and cookies.
If you think about the true meaning of the holidays is really what we need to focus on, spending time with our family.
And that's what she plans to do, over video chat, of course.
I shipped cookies to everybody, and we're going to be decorating cookies together on Zoom. So I think it'll be a lot of fun.
It's an unusual year, and it's giving people an opportunity to come up with some new traditions and fun ways to incorporate treats into their holiday season.
So bust out those aprons, fire up the computer, and make some delicious memories safely. Even the 12% of you who don't know the right way to eat a candy cane. Chris Pallone, NBC News.
National news now. The FDA is considering another coronavirus vaccine, and Congress getting closer to a stimulus bill that could put money in your pocket. Tracy Potts has that story this morning from Washington.
Maddie, good morning. Good morning, everyone. The stimulus checks, that was welcome news for millions of Americans. It was a late ad in these negotiations as lawmakers try to wrap things up on COVID relief before tomorrow's government shutdown deadline. COVID relief is now closer than ever.
I think it is in the oven, being baked as we speak, and I hope it comes out soon.
With an unexpected twist, $600 for every eligible American.
To American families in need, struggling to put food on the table and pay their rent or mortgages.
The news comes as President-elect Biden nominates Pete Buttigieg as Transportation Secretary, the first openly gay cabinet nominee.
A cabinet that is opening doors and breaking down barriers.
And as Biden prepares to get the coronavirus vaccine next week.
I want to make sure that we demonstrate to the American people that it is safe to take.
Vice President Pence and his wife get their shots tomorrow. Today, FDA advisors will review a second vaccine by drug maker Moderna. If approved, 6 million doses could ship next week.
We should start to see an impact in the very high-risk populations that are being immunized as we speak,
including thousands of healthcare workers. One in Alaska had an allergic reaction.
Her heart rate was elevated, and she had a red flushed rash over her face and torso.
She's stable after a night in the ER. As of today, Pfizer's vaccine has reached 886 sites across the nation. Some nursing homes have started giving the shots, and not a moment too soon. It's bad in places like California. They're setting up 60 mobile morgues to handle the overflow. So many people dying from this virus. I'm Tracy Potts, 17 News.
17 Court Watch this morning, a story we've been following closely over the last week and years. The verdict is in for the Bakersfield woman on trial for killing her newborn grandchild. The jury finding her guilty of first-degree murder. The jury deliberated for fewer than 12 hours yesterday before Beyonce Dillon was found guilty of drowning her teen daughter's newborn. Dillon testified her husband forbid her from calling 911 after their daughter gave birth back in November of 2018 inside their Southwest Bakersfield home. The baby died, Dillon said, and her husband and a nephew buried the body in the backyard. Prosecutor John Allen says the trial ended with the correct verdict. He says based on evidence presented in the trial, Dillon committed this crime to avoid potential consequences from her daughter giving birth at 15 years old.
I think anytime you have a murder case, it's a tragic case, but I do feel that the verdict was a just verdict, and based upon the evidence and that was presented in the trial and the law that the jury was given, they reached a correct and just result.
2021. Dillon's attorney, David Torres, said he was shocked, upset, and disappointed by the verdict. He said there were a lot of variables in this case, and they had a lot of viable defense theory that the child may have bled out from not having his umbilical cord tied or died from some other factor connected to the mother having no prenatal care.
Imagine not knowing that your child was pregnant, opening the door and seeing your child on the ground in a pool full of blood. What type of reaction are you going to have? It's obviously going to be one of distraught. So obviously the intent wasn't there.
Dillon is set to be sentenced January 13th. She faces 25 years to life in prison. Her attorney says they plan to appeal.
And the man accused of breaking into a Kern County post office back in 2018 faces at least 2 years in jail. Ryan James Taylor of Oxnard was sentenced to 2 years and 3 months in prison yesterday. He pleaded guilty to breaking into the Mojave post office and stealing mail from the outgoing mail drop-in 2 years ago. Police say he also stole a U.S. mail truck. And in your 17 Crime Watch, the hunt is on for a man accused of beating a 57-year-old woman with a metal pipe. It happened Tuesday around 8:45 p.m. in Bondfish. The sheriff's office says 37-year-old Philip Martinez is the man who assaulted that woman, and she is expected to survive. A felony warrant was issued for Martinez's arrest with charges of attempted murder, assault with a deadly weapon, battery, and making criminal threats. Anyone with information on Martinez is asked to call KCSO at 861-3110 or the Secret Witness Hotline at 322-4040.
5:37, and from our 17 News follow-up file, the identities of 3 of the 4 people killed in a crash near Arvin have been released. The sheriff's office says 19-year-old Daniel Marquez, 21-year-old Nicole Michelle Price, and 20-year-old Dalen Mannery died when the car they were in crashed into a dirt embankment and caught fire. That car had previously been involved in a police chase, but Arvin police say they called that chase off and found the wreckage later. Police say the occupants were suspected of committing multiple burglaries in Arvin before the chase. The identity of the 4th person who died has not been released. 1 person was injured last night in a crash near Weldon. Officers were called to Highway 178 near Fay Ranch Road just after 6:30. This is a look at the scene. First responders airlifted the driver to a local hospital with what authorities describe as major injuries. The cause of the crash or identity of the driver has not been confirmed.
In the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is a production of KGET and Nexstar Media Group. For more on all of the headlines in today's show, head to kget.com.